Hello class, in this video I'll demonstrate how to modeling and texturing the flags. Okay, so here I'll create a new scene. So first let's start with a polygon plane and we'll open its channel box, and here in the setting, in the input setting here, I'll give it about 30 subdivision width and height. Okay, and then I'll rotate it, along the x-axis. And here you can just go to channel box and you can type 90 in the rotate x, so it'll aim into the front. And here let's scale it up. Alright, so here let's scale it up, and I'll have this shape as a flag. Okay, so as you can see, I get a 30 subdivisions along x and y. The reason I have a 30 instead of a 10 is because I want more subdivisions. So later on when I create flags, I have more subdivisions and it can have more details on the flag. Okay, so let's move it up. And then I'll go to create polygon primitive, a cylinder. And I'll make it longer and make it thinner. And let's bring it closer to the flag. Longer, like this. Alright. Okay, so now we can select both these two objects in object mode. And here we can see it has the transformation data. So we'll go to the top menu, modify, and freeze transformation. And then go to delete history. So now we clean the history, so it's a clean model. Okay, and later on we're going to use nCloth to create the flag shape to deform the plane. However, before we do that, let's do the UV mapping and texturing for the flag, because right now the flag is a plane, so it would be easier for us to do the UV mapping and texturing right now before we do it later. Okay, so select this plane and go to UV, and we'll go to planar mapping and open the options. And as you can see, this plane is aiming to the x-axis. So here for project from, we'll choose Z, and we'll keep image width and height ratio, and go project. And then you can go to UV and UV editor, and here's the UV, right? And we can hit R key for scale. We can scale it down and place it here in this corner, maybe something like this. Okay, so as you can see, my UV is a colored UV, so you can check on shaded. By default, it should be wireframe. Okay, so check on shaded. I'll explain why later. And then select our pole in object mode, and then we'll go to UV and cylindrical UV, UV mapping method. And here you can see we can just grab this red slider to cover the whole thing, or we can just come here, channel box, and projection sweep. Let's do 360 degrees, so it'll cover the whole thing, right? And here is it. And here you can see we get a face on the top and on the bottom. So that's the top and bottom faces right now, because we are just projecting from the side, so it is showing as a edge. Oops. Here it's showing as one edge. So what I can do is I can go to the face selection mode, select the whole thing here, and then hold on control key for deselect, and then I'll deselect the body. Here is it. So now I only select the top and bottom faces. And then I can go to UV and planar mapping, and in the setting, I'll project from the y-axis. So I'm looking down, and it will project the top and bottom faces. Okay, so here I'll click on project, and here is it. Okay, here's the UV of the top and bottom faces, and we can go to the UV and double click on the top face. Hit W key for move and move it down, and then we can see this shell is in red color, and this shell is basically the bottom face, because we are doing UV projection from the top, right? And the bottom face we are looking at is the reversed side, so that's why it turned in red color. So anytime you see this, just double click, select all the UV on the UV shell and go to modify and flip. So I'll flip it back. Okay, and then we'll double click on this piece, which is the body, right? And then hold on shift and right click and go to unfold, and unfold is option box. And here we'll use global solver and apply and close. Here you go. So now we have this UV shell that has its original proportion. See, each face has the original proportion, and we can move it to the side here, and we can hit R key for scale, and we can scale it down a little bit. Wait, looks like I selected something else. Let's see, double click on the whole thing. Alright, and then R key for scale, scale it down, so make sure it's not on the UV boundary. And then we can double click on this piece and this piece, hold on shift, select both of them and scale them down, and then you can use here as a reference, because this edge is supposed to be the same length as this edge, right? So we can scale them down and just compare the length of the edge here. Okay, should be good. And we'll move it here, and for the top face we'll move it up a little bit. Alright, and then we can select both the flag and the pole in object mode, so we can see them here. And then I'll go to UV and select the flag and just scale it up a little bit, so we can utilize all this space around here. And the bottom part, if you have other objects, you can place the UV here. So that is the UV of our object. So I'll go back to object mode, select both of them, and freeze transformation and delete history. And then we'll move on to texture part. So here, select both of them in object mode, right? And then in UV editor, go to image and UV snapshot. And in the option here, you can save your UV map to a location. So here I just save it at desktop, and you can change the name of it. And image format as PNG, so the background will be transparent, and you will draw the UV as the black color line. So here you choose the black color as the edge color, and here would be the image dimension I choose, and then apply and close. And then here I'll wait, where is it? Alright, so here I will get my UV to here. So this is the UV I just saved, right? And let's open Photoshop, and let's drop this UV in Photoshop. So now here in the UV, you can see that it draw the UV based on the black color edge, right? So we can name this layer as UV, and then we can create a new layer and place this layer underneath the UV, and we can hit GK for bucket tool and fill a color. So here I want to use the white color, so hit X key, X to switch, and then click on the canvas, so it'll fill white color on the background. So here I'll say BG as background, and then here I'll select the UV layer and hit WK for the magic wand tool, and click on the empty spot on the UV layer, so you'll select the whole thing that is outside of the UV. Alright, and then I'll go to the top menu, select and modify and contract, and I'll put about 15 pixels here and click on OK. So basically it will contract our selection, so it will move our selected area away from the border of the UV. Alright, and we'll create a new layer here, and here I'll name it as a mask, and make sure you're on that layer. And then here I'll choose a gray color and hit GK for bucket tool, and I'll fill gray color to here, and then hit Command D for deselect. If you're on Windows, Control D. Okay, where you can also go to the top menu, select and deselect. Okay, so basically the mask will cover this area, so later on when we put the texture images between these two layers, it will not show up on this area. Alright, so I'll select all these three layers and we'll knock all of them. And then here I get the US flag, and I also have a Florida flag. So let's import them into our texture image here. Okay, so here let's scale it down a little bit, and let me just hit return key to confirm the change, and then we'll adjust the size. So let's place it on the top, and then hit Command T for free transformation, or you can just go to Edit and free transform. Okay, and then hold down Shift K so you can change it along X or Y without keeping the scale relationship. Alright, so here's the flag. And then we also have a metal layer, so just drop it in here, and I'll place it here. Okay, and then hold down Option key and then use your mouse left key to drag this image. You'll make a duplication, and then hold down Shift K so it'll be locked on Y-axis, so it'll move vertically. And zoom in. So here let's say we can just put them together because this is the same as texture image, so there's no gap, right? There's no seam that is identical on the texture image. And then we can select both these two metal layers, right click and rasterize the layer, and hit Command E for merge. On Windows, hit Control E, so it'll merge it to one layer, and select it, and then grab the area that has the flag here, and then delete. Okay, so the pole is the pole and flag is the flag. And then I'll hide the UV and I'll save this as texture flag. Okay, and then I'll hit Command Shift S for save as, or you can just go to here, save as. Okay, so now we'll save it as a JPEG image. Alright, and then let's switch back to Maya. So now, as you know, we'll go to the texturing part. Before we move on for texturing, so I'll go to File and create a project folder, right? So I'll go to Project Window here, and we'll create a new, and here we'll say flag, maybe just US, flag US project, and click on Accept. And then basically it'll create a project folder. It has all the subfolders, you know, for us. And the texture image should be placed inside of this folder. So I'll grab the texture image we just created, right? Texture flag. And also let's save our project. Hit Command S, and as you can see, it directly goes into this folder and the scenes folder. So we can see flag US step 1. Okay, and then we'll go to Window and Rendering Editor and Hypershade. And inside of the Hypershade, we'll create a material and number material. And for the color channel, we'll click on this this checker box, and we'll load a 2D texture, a file texture. And for the location, we'll click on this folder, and as you can see, it directly goes to the source image folder in our project. So I'll select this texture we have created, and make sure you select this material and rename it. So I'll see flag material, first material. Okay, and then we can select the whole thing and just right click on this material and assign, and then it should show up. Press 6K on your keyboard, should show up. Good. And I'll select the whole thing and freeze transformation and delete history because I'm going to move forward for simulation. Alright, so now let's select this part, the flag, and we'll switch to FX for visual effects, and we'll go to nCloth and we'll apply an nCloth to it. Okay, so now if I play, as you can see, the flag will falling down because right now it's a cloth and it has gravity, so definitely it will fall down. So I don't want the whole thing to fall down. What I'll do is I'll press 4 keys so I'm able to see the wireframe, the vertices, right? So I'll right click on this and go to vertex, and I'll grab the vertex along this row. Okay, so I want this row stick on the pole. So I'll go to nConstraint and transform constraint. Okay, so now hit 6 key to go back, and then if you play, and you can see that this edge, it will stick on the pole. Okay, so now let's give it some wind. As you can see, it by default, it just, because here it has gravity, it's just falling down, right? So here I'll go to the attribute editor and make sure you select the flag, and then here you can click on this small triangle and go to nuclear, and under nuclear window you should be able to see the gravity. So that is to simulate the real gravity. Okay, and for wind speed, here we'll do 60. Okay, so now let's test and see how it looks. So now you can see we have a wind to blow our flag, and it goes from this direction, right? The wind is come from the x-axis, and as you can see, here's the wind direction. So if we want the wind to blow to the opposite side, so what you will do is here just put -1. So here's the x, here's the y, here's the z. So if I put minus, the wind will come from the this side and blow to the minus side of the x-axis. And let's put here as a 0 and see if I put the z as 1, and then it'll blow the flag towards us. Right, it'll blow it towards us. Okay, so here let me pause it. As you can see, the time is not long enough, so here I'll change the time to here I'll change the time to 300 frames, and here I'll change the wind direction as 1 on the x-axis and 0 for z, so it'll blow on the x-axis. And then we can do a simulation. Just press the play button. And then anytime if you find a frame that interests you, you can just pause, and then you can go again, and let's see. I think this frame looks interesting for me. Okay, I like this frame, so I'll select it, and I'll hit Command D to make a duplication. So if you're on Windows, hit Control D instead. So here I'll go to Outlander, and this is a duplicated. Right, so I'll rename it as a flag 1, and let's hide it. Okay, and then let's continue. I like this one as well, so I'll select as well and hit Command D to make a duplication, and this one I'll save as a flag 2, and then hide selection and continue. I like this one, so I'll select it and hit Command D to make a duplication and save it, flag 3. Alright, so now we get 3 different versions, and let's also duplicate this pole. So let's duplicate one time and see pole 1. Okay, so this will be parent to our flag here, and then we've done with the flag simulation, and we can select all of these 5 objects, which is, let me hide these 2 as well. These are the duplicated objects. So this is our original flag for simulation, right? And this is the original pole, and these are 3 nCloth the effects, the effect state we have created. So select all of them, hit Command G. So if on Windows, hit Control G instead, and we'll put it together as a flag nCloth. All right, and we'll hide it. So now let's see if we show the flag, and if I move my time to different location, it doesn't change the shape. So that means it's an entirely clean flag, okay, with clean history. And also, if I show all of them, and if I select the whole thing and freeze transformation and delete history, and then you can see that nothing changed. There's a new there's no new objects while showing up, so that means this is a very clean object, a file. Alright, so that's why I just duplicate it from the nCloth to here, so we don't have to deal with the actual faces it's going to generate. Alright, so here we'll have our first flag, and I'll make a duplication here. I'll say pole 2, the pole 2, and select the second flag and move it to different location. And then I can duplicate, oops, not this one, actually this one. Hit Command D to make a duplication and select these two and move. So this will be the third flag. See? So that is the final version of the flag, and you can import it to Unity 3D for gaming, or you know, if you are just modeling a house and you want to create a flag in front of it, and that's the technique you would like to use. And anytime if you want to use another flag, you know, replace the texture, you can just go back to Photoshop, and then we can hide this layer, and I can just drop in, for example, here I get a Florida flag, and I can bring it in here, and I can turn on the UV so I can see the wireframes, and move it up, and here hold down Shift K and cover the whole area. Okay, and then we'll hide the UV and save this map and save it as a texture flag 2. Okay, and we can also do a Brazil flag, so I'll save it to my computer. Alright, and then here I'll bring it here. So here's the Brazil version of the flag. So I'll bring it into the scene, and I'll make sure I covered the whole UV shell. Okay, so hide the UV and save the third flag. So this will be flag 3, and I'll save it, and I'll go back to here, and then in the, let's see, Hypershade, we can simply just duplicate this material. Hit Command D to make a duplication, so this will be the second one, and then you'll just have to change the texture. So click on the checker box, apply a texture, a file texture, and here we'll, okay, we forgot to bring the 2 texture images into our project folder here. Alright, here we go. So this will be the flag of Florida, and third one will be the flag of Brazil. Okay, and then we can apply second one and apply the third one. See, you can easily switch the flag, the pattern, and you can even, you know, create your own flag, and then you can write text onto it. Okay, so that's the whole workflow of how to modeling and texturing a flag.